And now we'll start our official meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you join me, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our meeting of January 8th, 2020. And I'll go ahead and get started with our regular agenda. This meeting is now called to order. Item number B, approval of regular session minutes of December 18th, 2019. Board, I know you've had these minutes in advance, had the opportunity to review them, make any changes or clarifications that you needed. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes of 12/18/2019?
I move we approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Item number C, public participation. We've reached the public participation section of the agenda. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the board, just do so by raising your hand. During this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in debate. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board during this time. Each speaker will be allowed to speak once and be recognized by the board president before speaking. And in accordance with the board's rules and procedures, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. Would anyone like to address the board in public participation? Yes, sir. Please state your name and the address.
Chris Hicks, 444 Woodwood Court, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45255. And I want to have, make sure I use my full 5 minutes, so I brought my own clock. Okay, so if I hit the right button, it will work. Okay, there we go. All right, so I want to be sure to take my full 5 minutes. I appreciate always the chance to participate. I have 3 items that I want to bring before the board. One is your consent agenda, and I've already informed you about my concerns with this. Once again, we have some stuff on the consent agenda that I don't think should be on the consent agenda. There's over $20,000 worth of memberships in organizations for county officials, elected officials in their offices. It's ridiculous to have no inspection on that stuff and just have it on the consent agenda. A couple things really stood out to me. One is $50 for a Farm Bureau membership for Linda Fraley. Really? Does Linda Fraley need the county to pay for her Farm Bureau membership or for a membership in the Milford, Miami Chamber of Commerce? Really? Is that essential for the auditor's office? Now, those are smaller dollar items, but I noticed that just the auditor's office had $7,000 worth of memberships that it requested, which is 35% of a total that's over $20,000. I think it's ridiculous. In business, you have to make decisions on what organizations you're going to participate in. I hope we're really discerning what participations are really important. The auditor's office has 9, but another thing on that agenda that I think is shouldn't be there is an open-ended travel allotment for the auditor's office and the treasurer's office to go to chamber events. That's ridiculous. Well, most of those events they have to pay for separately anyway, despite a membership, and that travel can be reimbursed as part of that, if it should be reimbursed at all, so the public can see it happening over time. I'm not a guy that's quoted scripture a lot, but it reminded me of Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will be dishonest with much. It makes me wonder, you're going to get to a point in your agenda here where you'll approve the bills at some point, or usually you do, and millions of dollars get spent. We don't even get to see that in these meetings of what's getting approved. If it's this sloppy on the consent agenda with these small amounts, what's happening with the big dollar amounts in this county? So that's my first point. Second point that I want to hit, and this is where I want to use a lot of my time up to the last 20 seconds, is, and I'm addressing this to all the commissioners about engagement of our community, but particularly to Commissioner Painter since he is up for election. Silence is an important form of expression. I'm going to use a little bit of it here. And I want everybody here to ponder a question I'm going to ask. How does it raise the bar for the citizens of Clermont County for sitting commissioners running for office to avoid engagement and debate? How does that raise the bar? Our citizens deserve commissioners that aren't hiding behind posts about riding on Harleys that they don't think they even do, pictures of them standing in front of Ronald Reagan portraits. So let's pause. I'm going to come back in about when 20 seconds is left, and I want my third item. But I want everyone here to just ponder What benefit is it to the citizens of our community to have Mr. Painter hide from public discussion, public debate, and engagement? I'll go ahead and interrupt it a little early. Silence is one of the most powerful forms of human expression, and I hope people actually thought about the question I asked. Now, my final point. And Mr. Corcoran, with all respect, you might know it because I promised every time I come here I'm going to bring up. In your campaign, you promised to get the CVV books opened. I have it on video. It's on Facebook. You have done absolutely nothing to do that since you've been in office. Why not? The citizens deserve an answer. Are you a woman of your promises or not? Now, I have 14 seconds left, but I'll yield back my time. I truly appreciate the opportunity for me and all citizens to be able to come here and speak, and I hope more of them do it over time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for speaking this morning, Mr. Hicks. Your comments are always so insightful and appreciated. We'll move to the next part of the agenda. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during public participation? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. We'll move to item D. Board of Consent agenda has been provided to you early. I know you've had the opportunity to review it. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further conversation or discussion?
We've seen the consent agenda and had an opportunity to review it, all the items in detail, and I have no need to bring any of them out for further discussion.
Do I have a motion?
So I'll approve the consent agenda as prepared.
I'll second this motion.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Humphrey.
Aye.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item number E, the non-consent agenda. Page 11. Item number 20 starts our non-consent agenda on page 11. It's a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt a resolution number 003-20, resolving to approve payment to vendors in the amount of $2,204,331.04. As set forth in the BCC approval invoice reports for the checks dated January 8th, 2020, and the BCC directed prepaid invoice reports, and the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 1/6/2020. And further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for the same pursuant to 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to approve payment of the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item 21. Morning, Mr. Dick.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tim Dick, Director of Department of Job and Family Services. Item 21 is a recommendation of myself, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to execute an agreement for home-based support services by and between the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services on behalf of the Clermont County Family and Children First and Presley Ridge, located in Cincinnati, Ohio, 45237, where their administrative office is located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15237, for the provision of home-based support services to Clermont County children residing in a parent or relative home in an effort to maintain the children in a home environment, or to children reunifying with a parent and relative from an out-of-home care placement at the rate as defined therein, for a total amount not to exceed $43,761, effective for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein. Commissioners, this funding that Family and Children First receives, oftentimes this is a state funding source, and oftentimes we see delays. Well, the House bill, the budget bill may authorize payment, then there's separate process for these payments to be dispersed throughout the various counties. So the state notified us of the fund. We received the funding award letter in late November. So the good thing that the state does with this, even though there's a delay in them getting this money out, we can retroactive the bills that were from July 1st and still have those. So what we do is any bills that we had in July, August, October, we use a different funding for that, but then we can back that out and then apply it to this family support services. So that's why you're seeing this late.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 21 for the Department of Job and Family Services. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item number 22.
Item number 22 is a recommendation of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize myself, Tim Dick, Director of Department of Job and Family Services, to execute a memorandum of understanding by and between the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services, acting in its role as administrative agent for Clermont County Family and Children First, and the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities located in Batavia 45103 for the provision of early intervention outreach activities for families with children with disability from birth through age 2 in Clermont County during the state fiscal year 2020. And this is in an amount not to exceed $18,310, effective for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, pursuant to the terms and conditions specified therein, in concert with the Early Intervention Local Outreach Fund Agreement by and between Clermont County, Ohio, and the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on October 8th, 2019. Commissioner, this is a very similar situation. As I stated just now, October 8th is when it was originally ratified by you, the board, and since then we have our office received a fully executed agreement on November 28th. So now that we have that, now we can move forward with the MOU, which we're asking for it to be retro to July 1st, which is the period of time that we can use that funding.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 22. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Item number 23.
Morning.
Morning.
Craig Reisner, County Engineer's Office. Item 23 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, with the concurrence of Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to adopt resolution number 004-20, resolving to request the State of Ohio Department of Transportation, Director of Transportation, to reduce the speed limit on Loveland Miamiville Road, located in Miami Township as outlined below. The existing speed limit is 45 miles an hour. Loveland Miamiville Road is a county road.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 23 for change in the speed limit. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion?
Yeah, my understanding is the county engineer can't specify the limit. All we can do is simply ask ODOT if they would consider lowering the limit from the current stated, so.
That's correct. We get a request from a resident or a township or anybody, basically.
Municipality.
Right. We will perform a study of the road, include stuff, number of driveways, number of curves, any accidents, average daily traffic counts. And all this information is sent to the state, and the Department of Transportation decides whether it's warranted to leave it as the same speed limit or reduce it to a specific number that they set. So they'll be the ones that sets the number.
Right.
Okay. Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Item number 24.
All right, we're going to try this. Item 24, recommendation of Jeremy P. Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas J. Agel, County Administrator, to adopt Resolution Number 005-20, resolving to request the State of Ohio Director of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on Filliger Road, located in Batavia Township, as outlined below. It's currently unposted, which means the speed limit is 55 mile an hour, and Filliger Road is a county road.
Not on Filliger.
Yeah, that'd be a little high on Filliger.
Yeah, it's next to impossible to drive 55 miles an hour on Filliger Road. That's correct.
Definitely.
I'll make that motion for you.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second to change the speed limit on Filliger Road. Do I, any further, roll call, Judy?
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes, there really wasn't anything further. Item 25.
Number 25 is recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas Igel, County Administrator, to authorize the release of performance and maintenance bond previously converted to the maintenance bond phase for the following subdivision located in Union Township, and to accept the streets and lengths stated therein as public roads for placement into the Union Township Public Road System, and further to authorize the release of performance bonds for sidewalks in the stated amount which heretofore was provided as surety therefor. It's the Villas at Waterford Glen subdivision. We're going to release a maintenance bond for streets of $10,000 and a performance bond for sidewalks of $10,780. And there are 3 streets, Waterford Way, Portrush Way, and Lahinch Lane, which will be included in the Union Township Public Road System.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 25. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Item number 26.
26 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas Igel, County Administrator, to authorize the release of performance and maintenance bond previously converted to the maintenance bond phase for the following subdivision located within Batavia Township, and to accept the streets and the lengths stated below as placement on a public road for placement into the Batavia Township Public Road System. It's Cross Point subdivision, Section 2, Block D. The maintenance bond amount was $10,000, and it would be acceptance of Cross Ridge Drive into the Batavia Township system.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 26. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved, received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Painter?
Yes. Item number 27.
Sure, I can do it. Yeah, because your voice is going. We have received a request from the Board of Miami Township Trustees to initiate procedures to change the name of Ashire Road, Township number 2603, to Palomar Drive, located in Miami Township. And the request is to authorize myself to place a notice of public hearing in the Clermont Sun for 1 week, commencing on Thursday, January 16th, 2020, designating the date, time, and location of the public hearing to be held thereon pursuant to and in compliance with Section 554104 of the Ohio Revised Code. The public hearing to be held on Wednesday, February 5th, 2020 at 11 a.m. local time in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, Clermont County, Ohio, during regular session. My understanding is that when the plat for this particular subdivision was recorded, it was recorded with the name of Palomar Drive and not Ashire Road. Is that correct, or is it in the reverse of that, Craig? At any rate, all of the addresses are Palomar Drive, and when this came up, an individual was trying to refinance a mortgage, and when the title company went through it, they couldn't find Ashire Drive, they could only find Palomar, and so they discovered that error, and they wanted to correct it so that any future requests or concerns regarding it were in compliance with that which was recorded.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 27 for a change in the nomenclature of a roadway. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Just for discussion and clarification, this says the procedures to change the name of Ashire Road to Palomar Drive. Is that correct?
The correct name
Okay,
All the existing addresses are Palomar.
okay,
So it would be to change the name from Ashire to Palomar.
Because Ashire is the way it was recorded.
Ashire is the correct.
Start the recording.
And is there, do we know if there's a street sign that says Ishire versus Palomar?
All the street signs say Palomar.
Okay.
okay.
That's confusing.
It was apparently an issue of dispute between the then current county engineer responsible for that and the zoning inspector for Miami Township. Is that correct, Greg? Yeah.
Okay.
Good to get
Nothing
these things
further?
straightened up.
Yeah, and and you know, the concern was in first seeing it, the number of individuals that would have to change. But when we discovered that all of their documents are like that, because there must be at least 35 that have to be duly notified. Mr. Humphrey,
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran,
Yes.
Mr. Painter,
Yes. Item number 28.
Item 20 is a recommendation to reappoint Dave McCune out of Milford, Ohio, to serve on the Clermont County Public Defender Commission for his first full term, effective 1/15/2020 through 1/14/2024, and this is pursuant to Section 120.13 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 28 to a designation of reappointment to serve on the Clermont County Board of Defender Commission for Mr. David S. McCoon. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved, received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item number 29.
Item 29, as you may recall, on December 10th, the board received a petition for annexation under the expedited section of 709.023 of the Ohio Revised Code for 3.825 acres of land owned by Dennis M. Schnur, the Archbishop of Cincinnati trustee, to the city of Loveland. From that statute, we have, subsequent to 25 days thereafter, to resolve to either grant or deny. That time frame came subsequent to our last meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, and this is the first meeting. We've received all the documentation. It's been forwarded to the prosecutor's office. My understanding is that the prosecutor's office has communicated with each one of you as to their review of that document, and today is the day we need to dispose of it in accordance with that. And I prepared a draft motion, resolution 006-20 for the board's consideration.
I think we should approve the annexation, and I think your draft motion reflects that.
Would you like me to read it for the record? Sure.
Please.
This is in the Board of County Commissioners Resolution Number 006-20. It's a resolution granting annexation of 3.825 acres of land owned by Dennis M. Schnur, Archbishop of Cincinnati trustee, to the city of Loveland in Clermont County, Ohio. Pursuant to Section 709.023D of the Ohio Revised Code, the Board of County Commissioners adopts Resolution Number 006-20, resolving to grant the petition for annexation of 3.825 acres of land situated within Miami Township to the city of Loveland, Clermont County, Ohio, filed in the office of the Board of County Commissioners on Tuesday, December 10th, 2019 at 1:56 p.m. by Joseph J. Braun of Strassen Troy, located at the Federal Reserve Building in Cincinnati, Ohio, who is the designated agent for the petitioner Dennis M. Schnur, Archbishop of Cincinnati, trustees for the members of the Congregation of St. Clermont Roman Catholic Church, located at 894 State Route 48, Loveland, Ohio 45140, who is the sole owner of the real estate as defined by Ohio Revised Code Section 709.02E, sought to be annexed.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 29 to adopt the annexation of 3.825 acres of land situated in Miami Township to the city of Loveland. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes. Item number 30.
Item 30 is a recommendation to designate Dennis Brown, Clermont County General Health District Board of Health member, and Trevor Seal, Banking Center Manager, Park National Bank, the financial institution member, to serve on the Septic System Rehabilitation Financing Committee during calendar year 2020, and this is pursuant to and in compliance with Article 3A of the Clermont County Septic System Rehabilitation Financing Program Plan.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 30 for recommendation to designate Dennis Brown and for Trevor Seal to the Clermont County Septic System Rehabilitation Finance Committee. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Tom, just for general discussion, just gives the, an overview of the financing committee and what their responsibilities.
So they would review all the applications to the, for financing, and usually it's supported by the CDBG funds. And they would determine who would get those funds.
And this is for eligibility of people who obviously have a failing septic system in Clermont County
Yes.
and need help in
Yes,
in bringing
absolutely.
it up to code.
Right.
Okay. Anything further, Board?
No.
Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Item number 31.
31 is a recommendation to designate Clermont County Commissioner David L. Painter to serve on the Septic System Rehabilitation Financing Committee during calendar year 2020, pursuant to and in compliance with Article 3A of the Clermont County Septic System Rehabilitation Financing Program Plan.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 31. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Abstain. Item number 32.
Good morning, Mary Raines from the Office of Management and Budget. Item 32 is a recommendation to increase the annual appropriations for 2020. And that was Resolution 19119 in the ditch maintenance fund, other expenses by $45,000, and the Juvenile Court Special Projects Fund, other expenses in the amount of $25,000. These were not included in the original appropriation. The ditch maintenance is to reimburse for expenses from 2014 to 2017 back to the MB&G fund after an internal audit of that. And the $25,000 is for the court view fees and some other changes that they had made for the special project fund, and that kind of slipped through.
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 32 for appropriation changes. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved, received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. That concluded our consent agenda. Item E, non-consent agenda. Item F, additions to the agenda. Are there any additions to consider at this time, Tom?
Commissioners, we have received a request from OVRDC for letter of support for an RFP. And so the add-on will be a consideration of this letter of support for the request for proposal for Recovery to Work Cohort Learning Academy from the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission.
Board, you've heard the request to add a item to the agenda. Do I have a motion to add the item?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Tom, if you'd like to do the honors.
Allison Mercia from Community and Economic Development made a few phone calls for me. She's got just a quick summary that she put together. I think you all have that at your desk, and she'll go over those issues with you today.
Morning, Allison.
So we are a member of Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission. That is our local development district of Appalachian, Ohio. They represent Clermont County as well as 11 other counties in the state. They are applying to create kind of an action team, if you will, to respond to the opiate crisis and create a recovery to work program. So far, there are just a few members appointed. The team will consist of 11 members, overall, including one representative from OVRDC. They're currently working to identify other members. However, they do know that they want kind of a wide representation, including each county, representatives from the medical field, those who have gone through recovery themselves. The goal is to identify best practices and then kind of disperse that information around the state and through Appalachian, Ohio, and hopefully identify ways to take on this crisis.
Okay.
Certainly Appalachian, Ohio has been most affected by the opioid crisis.
And this particular consideration is for a letter of support
A
for
letter of
that
support,
effort.
yes. There's no monetary contribution or anything like that.
Okay.
And I think this is the first step in the process. So I think it's in alignment with what we've done so far in the county through our CAST program especially. It's not only recovery, but it's also some vocational training, and I think this is what this is aimed to do. The concern would be if we don't participate, that if it would be awarded outside our region, that cohort discusses what is needed in each individual region. So if we don't participate in that, then if ARC makes grant funds available, they may be for other things that don't impact us as much,
Right.
if that makes sense. So this is just the first step of putting the cohort together and then making a recommendation on what we need in this region, whether it's just
And
workforce
actually for
development.
OVRDC to make
Correct.
a grant application.
Correct. And so if it's workforce development that we need, we would let them know. If it's still recovery, then we would let them know that as well. So we think there's some grant funds available in the future, so we want to make sure we get in on the front end.
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of the request for the letter for OVRDC to help them with the grant application and obviously to help us if we are included in this. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved, received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Judy.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. Any other additions, Tom?
No, sir.
Done? Okay. I'll move to item number G. I'm requesting an executive session pursuant to section 121.22, G1, G3, and G4, the Ohio Revised Code, to first, consider the employment or compensation of one or more public employees. Second, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation. And three, to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations and bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment respectively. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Under those sections, yes, I make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
been moved and received a second. Roll call, Judy.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mrs. Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes, we will move to executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business. Thank you. We've returned from executive session. There were no decisions made and we will continue on with our agenda. Tom, are there any additional add-ons that we need to discuss at this time?
No, sir.
All right, then we will move to item number H, county staff elected officials discussion. Any elected officials or county staff that would like to address the board today?
No, thank you.
Okay, seeing none, I'll move to item I, which is member comments, board.
Yep.
This is our first meeting in the new year. Do you have any comments or anything about the meeting today?
I look forward to another good year.
Okay,
And I'm the same. Happy New Year.
anything else?
Nope.
We had quite a different type of situation happen here today in public participation where we had a moment of silence during the discussion. I just wanted to make sure that you as board members understand that I, as president of the board, made sure that Mr. Hicks's silence was not interrupted today because silence is also a form of speech. And therefore, since you have 5 minutes to use this board as you have requested, I would just like to make sure that everyone knows that if someone that decides to speak to us would choose to use that time in silence, that that is appropriate and that I will continue to allow that as long as I'm the president of the board.
Thank you.
You bet. Anything else?
Nothing.
Then I'd ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second to adjourn. Roll call, Judy?
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes. This meeting's hereby adjourned. We thank you for watching today on this January the 8th, 2020. We hope that 2020 is as good a year as 19 was, and thank you for participating, and we'll see you at the next meeting.